Hello everyone, my name is Brianna and I am a berserker who really loves fighting games. But more importantly, I really love Luke. But in all seriousness, currently I main Luke, the main face of Street Fighter 6, and I've come to share some of what I've learned of the character so far. Though the years under my belt is pretty small, my favorite part of a fighting game tends to be my time spent in the lab, learning the ins and outs of a character. So I'm making this video in part for you and in part for me. I want to give back all I've learned so far, as well have an easy way to look back on the information I've obtained. Luke himself is an incredibly well-rounded character, who has some of the best tools in the game. He is simple but effective. Though he has some execution barriers with perfect knuckles, his kit in general is very approachable. I wanted to make this video perspective for anyone, and include information on how to fight against Luke alongside how to play him. So whether brand new, or for those who might know a thing or two, I hope this video helps you. So let's get started. Let's start with the basics, Luke's normals. Luke's special cancelable normals are these: crouching light punch, crouching medium punch, crouching heavy punch, standing light punch, standing heavy punch, and crouching medium kick. I like to describe Luke being his safest while crouching. I say this because the buttons tend to be great pokes and easily save him when overextending, such as against a drive impact. So be careful if Luke is crouching, because most of his offensive capabilities are from this position. Luke has some incredible pokes, but many of them are not cancelable. His standing medium kick, standing medium punch, crouching light kick, and his standing heavy kick are not able to be special canceled. If Luke is a fan of using these pokes, they're very susceptible to drive impact. If Luke keeps trying to take space with these normals, it'll be pretty easy to punish. So Luke needs to make sure he doesn't use these too freely. Next, Luke's crouching medium punch is +1 on block and his best button. It's his main pressure tool and best poke with a 6-frame startup, which is faster than a standing light punch. It has better scaling than that of crouching medium kick, so more damage from drive rush combos. Luke will chain crouching medium punch into itself when close range, so unless you can reach with a 4-frame, it's best not to challenge. If you do challenge, keep in mind Luke can still check with the crouching light punch, which can go into a full combo. Luke's overhead is very good. It's safe on block and can link into crouching medium punch off of drive rush. Luke's back heavy kick is an interesting command normal. It is a decent poke at longer ranges, and on airborne opponents it makes a juggle state. Closer range, it whiffs on crouching. Though it's not as good as Luke's crouching heavy punch, it's still a good anti-air tool. But more importantly, Luke's highest damage starter combos start with a drive rush back heavy kick, so it may not be used much, but is your go-to for high damage combos. Back heavy punch. This is my favorite normal of Luke. Back heavy punch has an auto shimmy-like property. This can move him out of range of attacks and grabs for some juicy counters. It is absolutely a risk though. 16 frames startup with 20 frames of recovery. If your opponent sees you like this button, it absolutely can be baited. Luke is what's described as a shoto. This generally means they play in a well-rounded moveset, which includes having more or less an anti-air uppercut, a projectile, and a forward advancing kick. With the shoto style, you want to play within your strengths. You want in a space where you can fireball safely and whiff punish easily. This generally encompasses being within the starting neutral spacing, especially with a character like Luke where most of his normals are forward advancing, leading to a very favorable neutral game. When playing as Luke, I heavily advise getting used to this range. Like previously stated, his forward advancement is pretty unique from the rest of the cast. Also, testing this general area for what is safe for your fireball. You want to make sure you're spaced that after fireball you can recover safely and not get punished. Or even better, recover and anti-air them. And for example, remember, some characters have longer reaching jump and attacks. Even Luke's own jumping heavy kick hits very far, for example. Trial and error will get you there. Next is Luke's target combos, starting with the standing light punch, medium punch, heavy punch. Luke's target combo itself is super unsafe on block, but it is special cancelable, which can lead into fun baits like this. Luke's OD Sandblast is the safest way for him to end the target combo. On block, it is -2, and with 2 hits of the fireball, it gives about 13 frames to react to drive impact. Because of all of this, it is very easy to continue your pressure and keep your shirt. Okay, sure. But what if Luke doesn't spend the meter? Another bait Luke can do is end the combo with nothing. Keep in mind, though, this is incredibly risky, because on block it is -14. -9 at best if you end in the medium punch. Now, on the other hand, ending on Sandblast makes the combo safe, but does not give you time to react. So keep these options in mind whether versus Luke or playing as him. You should know the possible outcomes when this target combo is thrown out. At lower levels, this will 100% be used to test if you have the knowledge. Options against this target combo: if you're unsure what Luke will do with this target combo, don't be afraid to drive reversal. Or at best, it's 2 bars for 2 bars. Worst would be if Luke ends with no special, which most people will not do, for it's incredibly risky. It has to be a big read due to, as stated, being very unsafe on block. I know this target combo is a bane for a lot of beginner players, even for Luke versus Luke, so always know your options. Luke's medium punch target combo is interesting. It's not that great at a glance, and it's his only combo he can do off a standing medium punch if it's not a punish counter hit. And even then, sometimes can be out of range for a follow-up, and it's not special cancelable. The second hit is super cancelable, but that's it. But it actually gives pretty good Oki, and is incredible with punish cool. Plus, due to the advancing combo, you can stop the second hit for a grab reset. The main bad thing is there's no way to make it safe on block, so you're trapped if you keep going past the standing medium punch. Forward heavy punch target combo is another weird one. Thankfully, it is special cancelable and is very easily hit confirmable after the first forward heavy punch. Just like the others, it is very punishable on block if not cancelable. -19. Forward heavy punch itself is very safe though. It's -3 on block to be a great meaty. This target combo has gaps, which can be punished if read correctly on block. But if read incorrectly or if too slow, you get to have a fun time. As for the gaps after the second hit, it gives a nice surprise after drive impact. But of course, if you do it too much as an option, your opponent can get you good. If they react to that second hit startup, you get got. You surprisingly won't see Luke's crouching medium kick heavy punch target combo much. But I advise all Luke players to get used to hit confirming this target combo. The +1 on a hit meterless combo, which makes it very easy for a strike throw mix-up.
Oh, yo!
For modern Luke, he is very good. It is an excellent way for beginners to get into the game, or if the playstyle suits your fancy. Modern is mostly about the neutral game, and the biggest drawbacks being, of course, the damage, and he loses some normals. His standing light kick, all 3 jumping punches, his back kick, and his standing medium kick. So that's the trade for easier inputs. If the easier inputs or the more grounded playstyle are for you, this could be the right choice. He does keep all his specials, and you can still manually input them. The special button inputs has it execute only the medium versions. The rest of the video focuses on classic Luke, so if you want to play modern, I will link some guides by other players in the description if this is the way you want to go.
pocket sand.
Now let's talk about Luke's specials, starting with the signature Sandblast. Luke has 3 different strengths of Sandblast in the OD version. All of them have different travel distances. Light being short, medium being about neutral range, heavy being 3/4 screen, and OD being full screen. Luke's Sandblast is quite a bit different than the usual Street Fighter projectiles. The startup is slower and more visible of an animation, but the projectile itself is incredibly fast. With the varying distances, Luke will mix up, especially to bait you into wasting your meter. There are 2 main ways that people will deal with your fireball. Parry or perfect parry, which with the perfect parry will lead to a follow-up. The other is a jump, which is why it's very important to know your spacing and don't be predictable. Lastly, Luke's Fireball has the OD version, which with its follow-up can easily get through fireballs and many other moves, and cause a decently lengthy knockdown. Luke has 4 different versions of his Knuckles: light, medium, heavy, and OD, which all have different properties. You will be able to tell, visually and audibly, when to release by the flash on his arm and the pulse sound. His damage also is different depending on how much it is charged. Make sure to get used to all of them and the perfect timing. Even the heavy version is very important to know. A big thing to know, of course, are the frames on block. Something I see often is Luke getting away with dropping a charged medium Knuckle. Fully charged Knuckle, and perfect, on block is -3. You are fully able to challenge this. Don't let Luke press buttons. With the topic of overcharging, whether it's from unfamiliarity, lag, or even just off your game, Light Knuckle will always combo, even from a full charge. But don't drop Light Knuckle. You'll die. The only Knuckle safe is charge heavy, but keep in mind that charge up time is reactable. Lastly, his Air Knuckle. It's mostly used in air juggle combos off a jump and medium punch. It is chargeable, just like the other Knuckles. It by itself is not remarkable. It's very unsafe to do, but you can use it every once in a while to take a chance escaping the corner or maybe even do a tricky little bait. But again, keep in mind, you will get smacked if you just throw this out. Luke's a special boy, because his OD versions are entirely unique to the rest of the cast. Luke's best reversal is his OD Rising Uppercut. It is 10 frames of fully invul, and the one double-edged sword of this move is that it sends you so far, which, with trying to anti-air and some juggle combos, it can whip. But Luke is also unique in that his specials have additional follow-ups at the cost of an extra bar. This is easy extra damage, especially nice if it'll kill. Next, Luke has his Command Dash, which has 2 different follow-ups. First off is his Avenger into No Chaser, his tackle. The frame data is incredibly variable, with worst being -6 and best being 0. The other is his overhead flip, Avenger into a Paler. The data can vary just the same, but it's best to assume it will be unsafe. At worst, it is -8, at best, -1. But that -1 has to be perfectly spaced. The OD version of Avenger is very handy. It has armor, starting at frame 3, which is great for predicting projectiles and some pokes. The OD follow-ups are the same in their variable data. You'll in most cases want to follow up with No Chaser, the tackle, due to the more generous recovery time on block. Technically, with OD Impaler, it can be spaced to be safe, but still, it is quite a struggle to get right. In general, Impaler is just not a good idea, but can catch people off guard. Take the risk as you see fit. The only small thing is Impaler does trigger a limited juggle state, so can have small combo potential. Now, a small thing I want to address when it comes to Luke is this cheeky charged heavy knuckle. It's +4 on block when charged or perfected, and this gets people all the time, even at higher ranks. It's purely an option in knowledge checking you and your reactions. And even with that, it is also if you're ready to react, because Luke shouldn't be getting away with this. You can 100% fight back against this move, but not on block. If blocked, you gotta respect it. Here are your options. Drive Impact is your easiest option, whether off a block screen or thrown out of neutral. The only negative Drive Impact has is that you take a risk when Luke has 3 bars. At 3 bars, Luke can absolutely use this as Drive Impact bait. Look at that, 4K for that. So it's gonna sting quite a bit. Second option is to interrupt Luke or jump. If Luke is close enough, you can easily poke him out of it. Or without fear, you can poke him on the way in.
Let's wrap this up.
Luke's supers. Luke's level 1 is arguably the best super in the game. It's invul to strike and throw, so only beatable by projectiles. It will easily beat anything from jump-ins, to even still fireballs at good spacing. The only way to beat it with a jump-in is very good prediction and being incredibly close range. I've noticed that longer reaching heavy attacks can catch Luke on the super, but usually it's in the corner. Even then, you need to make sure your jump is spaced and timed well enough to beat the invul frames. This super is incredibly useful in fighting zoners, as its multiple hits will devour projectiles. So, Eraser, aka Beast Mode, it is weakest in terms of flexibility. It's very, very fast, but its range is very, very bad. It on hit will also send them full screen. Main purpose is to finish off your opponent at cheaper cost than level 3, but as stated previously, it sends them full screen. So it can also be a high damage option to put your opponent on the ropes and get them in the corner. Like a lot of level 2 supers in Street Fighter 6, it is not off a normal. It can only combo off of OD special, if not in a juggle state, which is normally in the corner. It is possible off of medium knuckle bounce, but that's a little tricky. This is the most common combo you see for level 2, because as stated, not a lot of opportunity to use a super if not in juggle state. Small note to throw in that all supers have armor break, which makes them an option against Drive Impact or other armor moves, like versus Marisa. Level 2 will also deplete 1 bar of drive gauge against your opponent on hit, and has full invul. Level 1, as stated, also has strike throw invul and armor breaks as well. It will deplete 1/2 of a bar from your opponent on hit. Level 3 does just the same with armor break, but its window of invul is very long. Also, recovery is incredibly long, at 92 frames. The long, fully invul frames, though, make it an excellent choice against fireballs, because they will run right through them. The distance Luke runs through is quite generous. Luke is fully invul for 30 frames, and most fireball recovery is about 30 frames. it can be an easy no-brainer to finish off a fireball-wielding opponent. So I am editing this after the Drive Rush got a new shortcut input, so there's a probability that he could do a lot more now. But in general, just like everyone, Drive Rush gets +4 on block to all attacks. For example, using his forward heavy punch, which is -3. Forward heavy punch is an excellent meeting tool due to this. And also, if you like being cheeky like me, it still auto shimmies, so you can catch people off guard. Especially if you know they like to try and poke out Drive Rushes. Next, of course, he has his overhead, which off of a Drive Rush can link into Crouching Medium Punch. This overhead itself is -3 on block, so Drive Rush will make you keep your turn, and in some cases can be used as a meaty in the corner. Both his light kicks are also good options as well. Both are fast and link into Crouching Light Punch, for full confirm, and very safe. The lights also, being chainable, make it a decent option against drive impacts. Can't even get a full combo off their drive impact. Meaties. These meaties will mostly include frame kills within them. Frame kills are using the usage of your other attacks to time yourself properly and hit them on wake up. Keep in mind, frame kills do make it obvious to what you're doing, but are excellent for learning your meaty timings. So here we have a common corner juggle combo, and whipping a crouching medium punch to time a crouching medium punch meaty. Same thing here. Off a more expensive corner combo, whipping a crouching medium punch to time a crouching medium punch medium. Here's the more optimal corner combo, whipping a crouching light punch to time a crouching medium. I personally like to use standing light kick more. I feel it's a bit more accurate. Avenger into No Chaser can also be used after a heavy knuckle. It must be executed pretty much immediately after a heavy knuckle. It is also super cancelable. Avenger into No Chaser leads to a pretty lengthy knockdown, so these need to be self-timed. Forward heavy punch is pretty easy to time, just watch for their model to start moving. A pretty easy one to know is off of a perfect heavy knuckle. Just dash 3 times for an easy timed crouching light punch meaty. Also, of course, the dash pushes them. Side switches. The only 2 side switches I have found so far are these. The 3 bars is a bit pricey, but that's what you get for getting out of jail. Luke's other option is off a perfect medium punch knuckle. With it, it can also be meaty time. Immediately after jump, then crouching light punch, crouching.
Wanna watch me do a flip?
Avenger can also be used on whiff for some setups. Sacrificing damage, but it gives you a pretty easy strike throw position. Medium knuckle gives you the easiest time to combo into Avenger and No Chaser. After combo ending in Avenger on hit, you need to manually time your follow-up. It's the best thing to end on for corner carry. Unlike crouching light punch, which can easily be chained into another for a much easier time canceling into driver, standing light kick and standing light punch both are far-reaching, and by inputting forward at the same time, gives you a much easier executable time for driver, as you only need to input 1 forward input. Lights, from what I could determine, are the only thing that will read this buffer from Luke. This area I'm still exploring, but here are a few I've found so far. The most common one is off of a jump medium punch in Knuckle in the corner. This needs a decent delay on both the initial input of air Knuckle and the release of air Knuckle. This has to be manually timed. For an easier auto-timed corner safe jump, end in a heavy fireball and immediately jump. This is much easier of the two, but it does sacrifice damage. Lastly, after ending in a perfect heavy jump. After your recovery, you immediately input a crouch medium punch, then immediately jump heavy kick. Do be careful though, it being a drive rush combo, you can easily be too close to the corner and your medium punch Knuckle and your drive rush standing heavy punch can win. The safe jump is doable almost anywhere. These notes will focus around Luke, but some of them can be taken to other characters. For example, when we get to Honda, the tech is possible for anyone with a cross-up medium kick. Now, for Cammy. Just a prerequisite, just know that most Cammys will be smart about their dive kicks, and this option requires you to react to their jump, in which your back heavy punch can be baited. Cammy's Hooligan has a couple of different options she can end on. Cannon Strike, Reverse Edge, an overhead, Fatal Leg Twister, a grab, and Silent Step, an early stop. The usual shoto answer to someone in the air is a good old uppercut. If she is close enough though, Hooligan can switch sides, so you need to be ready to cross-cut your DP. Even simpler answer is to just jab. No matter which version she does, they are all interruptible. A something less dependable option is crouching heavy punch. Though still good, if she's close and lets it rip to switch sides, it can whiff if inputted too early. So just make sure you don't let her get away with this. Now, Spin Knuckle is a scary beast for characters with fireballs. Medium punch, heavy punch, and OD are projectile invul, and depending on strength, the distance is farther. And no matter what, if she spends meter on OD Spin Knuckle, she can use it to react rather than predict. And her OD Knuckle, if close enough, will side switch, just like in Street Fighter V. Just like Hooligan, it is interruptible, if not throwing out fireballs, of course. Her light version generally won't be used unless you're in burn. Hondas are the new player destroyer, but all of his specials are able to be dealt with if you know what tools your character can use. This trick is for all characters with jumping, medium kick, crossover buttons. So characters like Ken, Ryu, and Jaime can do this. For Luke, you can cancel into medium punch DP and supers 1, 2, 3. The big thing here is no matter what, whether comboed or traded, you will be in the advantage. Even if you're far away, you can still drive rush into a lead. Another thing is to not be afraid of the damage. It's a good trade to get pressure. For OD butt slam, it's not really an option to air it. So you can option select perfect parry or drive reverse. This will lead into combo or trade 2 bars for 2 bars. The option select is inputting parry when you assume the perfect, and then inputting reverse. So Jaime has these Rekkas that tend to catch a lot of players. Unless he's level 4, they are all -6 on block. So Jaime has 4 spacing, you can hit light punch or medium punch. If he finished the Rekka at all with a follow-up, they're all punishable. If he ever ends on drink on block, kill him. A side note as well, if ever after a knockdown from a Jaime and they drink, you can try your sniper rifle. Sandblast to interrupt them.
You gonna wash your hands? No, because I'm evil.
JP is a menace. First off is Spike. Number 1 is always attempt to parry his attacks. With how fast this attack is, it becomes fairly easy to perfect parry once you get used to it. Watch his hand. Once he moves it downward, you can hear pierce. That's perfect parry timing. Next, for his fireball, he has a mid, an overhead, and a low. And OD is super plus on block. The simplest way I like to describe these fireballs, though, is they are not real. So the way they work is they have to travel half the distance between when he activates and where you are. Once it does, it activates. So at certain distances, it is reactable with drive room. Especially with Luke and his forward advancing normals, you can catch him with some juicy buttons. Lastly, his away. It's -10 on block. If not spaced well, you can punish him for it. Not a common thing, because you have to be really close, but it's good to know. Now, for the monster that is Ken. He has a lot of tools to catch you, and keep or steal a turn. First is Jinrai. The low kick follow-up is a lot of players' bane, but as we see here, no matter what starter, the follow-up is -5 on block. You can see there is a gap. It is not a true string. Luke's 4-frame crouching light punch and 5-frame standing light kick can get a punish counter. Standing light kick reaches much farther, so it will be the more reliable option. Most Kens will use Jinrai to cancel from a block screen. Common one will be his target combo or standing heavy punch. When off a block screen, the spacing makes it so your crouching light punch will not hit. So rely on the reach of your standing light kick. Of course, there being a gap, you can DP, but it's really your main option when Ken does it off a crouching medium kick. If spaced well, which generally off a crouching medium kick, he can catch your buttons. The dummy is set to stand light kick after block, so be wary of what button Ken uses to cancel from. Dragon Lash, the only plus on block one is heavy version. Ken will only ever maybe use light instead, and that is if you are in burnout. With how slow the heavy version is, it is reactable in a couple of ways. First off, he's airborne, so DP is very reliable. Light DP, then OD DP have the most air invul frames, so if you're not sure about timing, use these to make sure you get that punish. Outside of this, the universal option is a drive impact. Kimberly, she's tricky, but none of it is really on her side if you are ready. Something that tends to get the unready is her forward heavy kick command normally. Luke has a good option to use against her, but one that is unreliable is a standing light punch. Due to its advancing properties, it can easily get caught. She has the base kick, then can go into a hop of either neutral, forward, or back. Back hop is the hardest to punish because it depends on when you react. OD Avenger is, from what I tested, the most reliable, but it is 2 bars. Because it takes her back, DP is quite a gamble. Normal DPs can hit sometimes, but at least the OD version sends you way forward and is the most reliable DP to hit. For all situations, this seems to be the best option. Reacting to the hop with parry, then follow into a crouching heavy punch. This is because you can make it safe, punish, or if timed correctly, get the perfect parry. It will catch all options through the anti-air crouching heavy punch, or if she doesn't follow up, you can fireball.
No, you don't.
Lastly, for the hop itself, you can DP it, but it's really fast. Again, light DP has the most air invul, so the best bet to use. All of Kimberly's teleports are reactable and punishable. Simplest thing is to jab. Options that can catch all versions are Luke's standing heavy kick and crouching heavy punch. Keep in mind though, if she ODs, it can whiff if you do not time it right. Luke's standing heavy kick is forward advancing and has high active frames, so you can use this as soon as you see the color smoke. Keep in mind, if you heavy kick her OD, you can't get a follow-up. For crouching heavy punch, you have to wait for her to travel close before you can hit her, but you do get a bigger punish. This little gremlin does not like neutral. Lily's Condor Spire has varying distances depending on strength, and her enhanced versions have more hits and is plus on block. Option 1 is spaced well, you can drive impact her Spire. Option 2 is DP. She does make herself airborne. Against OD, you can trade 2 bars for drive reversal. If you go for parry though, remember to keep holding, even if you perfect parry it. The move has more hits. Marisa has many specials she will throw in neutral. First being Phalanx, a plus on block, armored, and projectile avoiding move. Its strength varies in distance and changes the armor startup. It's not an overhead, but it is more plus against crouching. First things first, classic DP against Marisa taken in the air. Once again, a light DP is the safest to do. Another cheeky thing is if you are spaced well, you can use your back heavy punch to pull back and punish. You need to be able to tell where she will be landing, because she can change which one she uses. The travel time can give you time to backpedal to a proper space. This is doable on all versions of Phalanx. Lastly, she's not immediately active, so her travel is interruptible. The button you use is dependent on the strength and your spacing to counter. Phalanx is also drive impactful. Next is Gladius. Marisas love to throw this in neutral. Charged or not, they will mix it up in the approach. Spacing and reactions are important against this special. Poorly charged Gladius is reactable. Check with a low if you're unsure of the release timing. If your reactions are on point, you can punish her recovery on whiff with a dry brush. Marisa is a big body with big buttons, and despite not being a grappler, kind of treat her as one with your spacing. Focus on whiff punishing and keeping her just out of her range. You can also check her with armor of your own. Keep in mind when you press your follow-up though. Armor is only there as Avenger travels. Pay attention to her meter though, because OD Gladius beats armor moves. Blanka is a bit troublesome. Specifically, his heavy ball catches the unprepared. All versions of ball are DPable. And you can react with armor, which if wanted can super. A lot of Blanka specials are safe purely because they move them quite far away. Perfect parry is also an option. You drive rush out of it into a full combo. Getting a punish counter on the recovery back can be a bit tight to land. Tackle will be the better option if not close to the corner for juggle. For Chun, Hazanshu is reactable. The best bet is Drive Impact. Every version is susceptible to Drive Impact. Is also airborne, so DP is an option, but I feel it is a bit faster react reliably. Her heavy version is also the easiest react. If in range, you can simply hit her ass. For Dee Jay, it's mostly knowing about when to drive impact his pose. But his sweep, crouch medium kick, is not safe on block. It is one of the safest in the game, so it's only punishable if they do not space it well. Standing light kick and crouching medium punch are your best to check.
You son of a bitch.
Guile is also a bit tricky to find ways to break his defense. His buttons are great and are a bit tough to deal with. But a good thing to be aware of is his target combo. It's -5 on block. Luke specifically can punish with standing light kick or crouching light punch. Rashid, well, one thing just like all characters with fireballs, they are very susceptible to drive impact. In general, defensive drive impact is a decent option against Rashid. The only way for his fireball to beat drive impact is if you're super late due to having enough hits to armor break. If early enough you guessed wrong on his fireball, you will at least still get a counter hit. In neutral though, it is easily interruptible, especially as Luke. If close enough, you can simply counter with crouching medium punch or crouching medium kick. Or depending on screen position, just use your sniper rifle. Another option is Drive Rush, but you do need to react at a decent time. I'd advise crouching medium punch, but if not, standing light punch does move you forward, so you can catch it better on the run. For Rashid's run, even on block, it's your turn. The slide is very unsafe. but Slide is projectile input, so keep that in mind. Enhanced Run only makes him run faster. It does not change his run attack's frame data. His target combo has no gaps. Only punishable if not ended in a Light Punch Mixer. Light Punch Mixer is -3, so safe. All versions of Spike are -39, if not enhanced. Enhanced is -15 or -24 depending on strength.
Eagle Spike! Coming in!
So if they fail their big read and just throw it out, kick his ass.
Drop this up! Too slow! Stay! I'm too good. Coming in!
Lastly, Rashid has a wall jump alongside Chun-Li. His wall jump can easily get him out of the corner if used wisely. Even better for him if he gets you to DP. You have to be very early to catch his wall jump with a DP. So I personally think a decent way to keep him cornered is air-to-airs. Specifically, Luke's jumping medium punch. If you hit his wall jump, you put him in a counter hit state for a Knuckle or a DP combo. But jumping medium punch in general will combo if high enough or hit close to the corner. But even if whiffed, generally charge Knuckle will keep you in a safe state. Alright, so that's all I have for now that I can offer. I know, given a little more time, I'll have more to dump, but I want to have everything nice and tidy for my little monkey brain. I do really enjoy Luke, despite his simplicity. I do want to discover what limits I can push for a character, so I may be back with more in the future. For now, this is my favorite part of any character, and that's combos. To put simply, for Luke, his combo theory, he wants to find routes to get to crouching heavy punch to be able to combo and get the best scaling damage. So I'll be using numeric annotations here for all of these, so refer to this chart if you need help reading combos. That's it for now. Hopefully this knowledge dump helped some of you. And if it did, maybe consider subscribing. It really helps us out and lets us grow, so I can make more content like this. I plan on deep diving into more characters, so hopefully I'll be able to make more of these in the future. Till then, thank you for watching, and remember, we're all going to Memphis!